Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Praise the Lord. Hey, got a little music in the background, so we'll start that again. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Wherever you are, God bless you. Oh, what a blessing. What a blessing to be alive and well today. You know, I feel like somebody has ran over me. My bones are aching, but you know what? I'm blessed. We are blessed because we are above ground, okay? A lot of people can't say that. We've lost so many friends the last couple of months. You know, it seems like the wintertime closes in, and so many people close their eyes, eternally. And yeah, it's kind of sad. But we should not be sad. We should be rejoicing. I know it's selfish. The sadness is the selfishness because we're going to miss them. We don't have them anymore to turn to share with. It's really sad for us. But we should be praising the Lord that their journey's over, okay? And that they did whatever God sent them here to do, you know? And hey, they've gone on to the glory. The struggle is ended. So we should be praising the Lord that these people are no longer going through these trials and tribulation. I know it's difficult because we love them so much and we miss them so much, but they'll always be with us. They'll always be with us. They'll comfort us if we allow them to do that. They're part of us. They're in our hearts, in our mind. They'll never be gone as long as we keep them there. As long as we share their stories, as long as we talk about our experiences. I do that quite often. I get on these trips where I talk about my mother. I talk about my brother Ray. He was a great person. I'm going to talk a little bit about my brother Ray because I want people to understand that everybody that has got flaws and that are out there and have made mistakes in their life, don't write them off. They're the same people that you loved before they made those mistakes. Now, my brother Ray became a heroin addict. And it was a sad story and a foolish story as to how he became a heroin addict. He was in sin in the first place. That's usually how it starts, right? He was married with children. And he got involved with a woman who was very pretty. And anyway, she was addicted to heroin. And he called himself trying to help her. Yeah, suckers born every day, right? My brother Ray had such a big heart. But he was in error in the first place for getting personally involved in this woman's life. And intimately, eventually. But he was every man's hero. He was quarterback down at McClymonds High School, and he'd gone on to Canada to play quarterback, got injured and had to stop. But that was his personality, the hero, rescuing people. And unfortunately, I got a son just like that. But anyway, let's get back to Ray. Ray was born in Oakland, and he was an outstanding student. I mean, this man was brilliant. He was brilliant. And I had so much respect for him. Actually, I didn't even meet him until he was like 18, 19, because he was from my mother's first marriage. And he lived with his grandmother and stayed with his family in Oakland. And, his father's side of the family. And I never really knew him until, I guess he's 17 years older than I is. So I was maybe, it's 8 or 9 when I first met him, and he came to our house to babysit because Mama was going out of town. And here, this strange guy ordering me around, but I fell in love with him. He was such a beautiful person. He was really, really smart. And I mean, this is all the way until I was grown. I had total respect for him. Now, what happened was he called himself trying to help this woman, right? Help her get off of heroin because, nobody wants to see anybody suffering. And her friends um, male friends convinced him, because he was naive, he didn't grow up with that. So he was naive, and he believed them that if he could not help her, he could never help her as long as he never was using drugs, because he didn't understand. So what he should do is just try it. Then he'll understand her problem. Then he'll understand how to help her. And he said, I don't want to become addicted. Now, this is a story he told me, okay? And he said that, they said, well, you won't get addicted. Just skin pop it. Just pop it in your skin. You won't get addicted. It's just, when you put it in your veins is when you get addicted. No. So he did. He popped it into his skin under the instruction and assistance with these guys that were her friends, and he became addicted. It destroyed his life. He was addicted for 35 years. And, I have to still give him credit, because he did everything he could to get off of the drugs. He even, with the first methadone program, he got involved in that, thinking that was going to help. But the methadone program basically was just legal issuance of heroin, man-made heroin or whatever it is. It was a legal addiction is what it was. Because eventually he got hepatitis. And he could not get a liver transplant, because he was still on methadone, which means he was still addicted, even though it was government issued. So he didn't want to. He never got into the stealing thing, and that's saying a lot when you talk about addiction, because the addiction basically takes over the person's life. But he never got into the stealing issue. Well, let me put it like this: he didn't go in robbing and burglarizing and using guns to hold up people and things like that. He never got into that, but he did steal. And I'm going to tell you how he stole. His way of providing for his addiction was gambling. And he would play cards and dice, and he was always working with partners and cheating. Okay? And how do I know that? I know that because once I became an adult, I had a birthday party. And I had a one-bedroom apartment, and he came to my party, and he and his friends took over my bedroom. And I had no idea they had done this until somebody came out and asked me, are they giving you money? I said, what? I'm out there in my kitchen serving people all this hors d'oeuvres and stuff, And this guy I didn't know, he said, are they giving you money? I said, money for what? Money for the house. I said, what do you mean the house? I didn't know what he was talking about. Well, apparently my brother and his friends were back there in my bedroom with a crap game going on, and they were cutting for the house. Oh, yeah, that's how he made his money. And it was all my three guys that he worked with all the time. And they did all kind of stuff to win. They were always winning, cards. And, they would come together as like they didn't know each other. That's an old game. So it was a con game, Yeah, that was his way of stealing. So that way he stole, but he didn't break into people's houses or use a gun or anything like that. But that's how he supplied for his addiction. And he worked. He worked construction, okay, and any other good, honorable jobs. So he tried to keep his honor, Anyway, he was a very loving person, and I loved him immensely. I mean, people have their flaws. They have their sins. And sometimes, you got to look past that, because if you look past their sins, I'm not saying become an enabler. I'm not saying endorse or embrace and tell them it's okay. No, you don't do that. You don't do that. You never let them think that what they're doing is self-destruction or the wrong. Whatever they're doing is okay. But you don't stop loving them because they've gone a different path, a path that is wrong, It's destructive for them, society. Yeah, you don't stop loving them. So you stand by them, you support them, and keep on praying, because as long as they're alive, there's hope. And I'm going to tell you, he was a beautiful person. He taught me how to avoid getting involved with drugs. He was a protector. He wouldn't allow anybody to curse around me. I mean, if somebody said a curse word, his response was, man, watch your mouth, watch your mouth. There's family here. There's family. Watch your mouth. You know, that's love. That's love. And I think about him, and I tear up because he deserved so much better. And it's unfortunate that our loved ones get caught up in this kind of thing. But who brings the drugs in? You know, you have to look at the politicians and the profiteers that are bringing this stuff into our community. I mean, yeah, there's some drug dealers around the corner that are selling it, but usually they're addicted and they're supplying their own needs. That's why they're selling it. So yeah, they're wrong, and you know, they're not innocent, but they're not the real bad guys. The real bad guys, those wealthy guys sitting up in the hills in those big fine houses and bringing this stuff in and doing all the manipulations with the politicians and the officials to make sure it gets in. So I just want to talk about him a little bit, keep him alive. Yeah, he was born in 1928. God bless his soul. So of course he's gone now. You know, the liver took him out. So many people back in my young adult days were caught up in so many things, and I have to give 100% credit to my brother Ray for all of his advice that he gave me and the love and attention that he gave me. I didn't get caught up in anything. He told me, in fact, my mother said, never turn your back on your drink. Okay, so you know, I just make a difference whether you're alcohol drinking or whatever drinking you're doing, soda water. You know, never turn your back on your drink. Okay, if you put it down, don't pick it back up again. I mean, you could have it, you could have it sitting right by you and set it down, and somebody could move over it and drop something in it. And sometimes people do that out of spite. You know, they just do it because they can. They do it for entertainment, or they do it for hatred. You know, they do it for whatever reason. But people will put things in your drink just to watch you fall all over the place. So my mother said never, she was a cocktail waitress at one point, and she said never leave your drink any place, and if you put it down, don't pick it up again, and don't ever turn your back on it. Okay, so, but Ray told me don't smoke anything anybody gives you. If you smoke your own cigarettes, if you're going to smoke cigarettes, which I did, everybody did back in my generation, you know, because all the movie stars did. Every romantic movie that you saw, you know, they had a cigarette hanging out of their mouth. So a lot of us did that. Brainwash. So, yeah, but people put things in your cigarette. Yeah, they put things in. And you guys out there with this marijuana, boy, you don't know. You just risking your life smoking that stuff, because anything could be in it. In fact, someone sent me something through through email, or anyway, they sent me a message on Facebook about some marijuana that is coming from some place that is laced, that people are dying from. So it's supposed to be very prevalent right now, especially in California. So we don't know. We got a lot of enemies around the world. We've got a lot of enemies here. And people will give you free drugs. Don't think that they're doing you a favor to give you a free hit, because you don't know what you're hitting, right? Don't take anything from anybody, especially young people. I mean, this is a message for real, for young people. There's a lot of people put pressure on you, peer pressure, to try things. They're doing it, and so they talk you into trying it. And it may cost you your life. It may destroy your life. You may go on for years under bondage because of that. I don't understand why people who are in bondage want you to join them. Misery loves company. Or maybe they want somebody else to be, well, there's kind of a mindset where people feel like somebody might think they're better than them. I remember talking to some homeless people. I've met quite a few of them. And because there's so many of them out there, I have some in my family that have been homeless and are homeless, you know. Well, correction, I was told they're houseless. You know, they have a home, but they're houseless. Okay, whatever, you know, float your boat. And but what they're saying, one of the things that they say is they refer to people who live in houses as house dwellers, and they use that as a term of insult, you know, like a dirty word. Oh, those house dwellers complained about this, and those house dwellers complained about that, you know. And it's amazing how a person could take a word and turn it into something very hateful. Somebody was saying something about liberals the other day. Excuse me, I don't want to get into politics, but yeah, they've turned the word liberal into something that is vulgar, you know. So I have a very dear friend on my Facebook, and I'm going to have to learn how to separate my friends and family from my business associates, because I started my Facebook page as a business associate page, and then I started searching for family members around the United States and adding to my Facebook. And so it's kind of a conflict, because I've got family that you don't necessarily choose because they're family, they're blood, and some of them are characters. And you don't want to mix them with your business associates, because their lifestyles kind of overflow and hang out there. I've had to delete some because of languages that they've used, and they go through the trouble of actually spelling it out. You know, I'm not pure. I mean, I know how to curse. You know, I was really good at it when I was young. And then, of course, after I was born again and went through my water baptism all over again, I grew up as a Catholic, so I had all that when I was a child. But then when I was born again back in the early 70s, you know, God took that out of my mouth. But, you know, because excuse, but dealing with the real world, I found that instead of letting God fight my battles, which is what we're supposed to do, I found myself on occasion standing toe-to-toe with abusive young people. And as I got older, it happened more, you know, where they felt that I was a subject that they could attack. And I kind of fell into tit for tat, you know, and they would attack me and I'd attack them back. And I don't mean physically, but if they hit me, if they touch me, you know, I'm not going to take a whooping for nobody. I mean, I grew up in a family with 13 kids. I ain't taking no whooping, okay? I'll go down fighting. You might get me today, but I'm coming back. You know, I ain't taking a whooping, you know. So anyway, yeah, I believe in, I've always been small. I've always been small. I'm chubby now, but I was always a little skinny, short, you know, the runt of the family. And I don't mind picking up a chair. I don't mind going for a club. I tell you, one time when I was about 12, I got, my sister's going to hear this, she's going to laugh, but I got into a fight with my sister over clothes. I had a babysitting job, and I always had a job. I worked, I mean, since I was like 9. I used to go down to the barbecue place and ask could I work there, and they had me standing on a stool sliding the food into a bag. That was the job that they let me have. And then there was a lady across the street, she would let me pull up weeds in her yard. I always had some kind of income that I can contribute to the household and have for myself. It made me feel like I was participating, a part you know, of the action going on. And anyway, I had a babysitting job, and I had money, and I would go buy myself an outfit. I would always take the money to my mother, and she'd take what she wanted out of it and give me the rest. And yeah, it's not that she needed the money. It's just the process that I was participating. I was helping. Anyway, so what happened was I would buy clothes. And my sister was older than I was, a couple of years older. I had a lot of sisters, this one in particular. But she had a fist like a man's punch, you know. And she did this. She had this because she would stand toe-to-toe with my older brother. And not Ray, but my other brother. And they'd fist fight, you know. Boom, boom, boom. And it was a trip. Anyway, we got into it because she had on my dress. It was a skirt, a pencil skirt. And I had her socks on a week earlier, and she took them off of me in school and embarrassed me in front of everybody. But she could wear my stuff. So I said something about her wearing my stuff, and it was people around. So she turned around and slugged me. Anyway, it was on. We had a fight. I reached back and grabbed a Coca-Cola bottle to hit her with, and I felt bad and put it down. Oh, no. No. If you're going to pick up something and use it to defend yourself, you better use it. Because when I put it down, she picked it up and cracked me in my head, and my head said, doing. That was it. So, a lesson learned, right? You know. So this is about defending yourself. This is not about being aggressive out there and acting a fool. But no, I have learned that I to curse again. And I found that it stopped a lot of aggression. You know, I'm not telling you to go out and do that, but I think that a couple of young women that have came at me just because they felt they could, they put the brakes on because they realized that, no, not this woman. I'm going to leave her alone. So, okay, I'm going to leave that alone too. But I can curse. I'm not so holy that I can't say a dirty word occasionally, okay? It's not right, and we don't need to resort to that. But sometimes I have used that, and I will use that to back someone off of me. It's like pepper spray. Okay. So my point of all this conversation, and I know we're supposed to be talking about what's old is new and healthy too, right? Defending yourself, loving someone who is not perfect. All of these things are old. But you know, society wants to be ugly about it and say they're wrong, they're bad, throw them away. Like they do everything, throw them away. Never throw them away. As long as they're alive, there's hope. I've had a lot of loved ones come out of drugs and praise the Lord. You know, serving the Lord. Stick with them. God bless you. Stop all that cursing. Bye-bye.